Kelsey, want to come up here? So today was not unexpected. We knew the prosecutor had a few things on his plate. We're more concerned right now about getting the discovery. That's a back and forth process. We're all pretty experienced attorneys, so we don't really need to involve the court at this point in fighting about anything. I think the prosecutors are trying to get us everything you can get us. That will determine what moves we make after we get all of their discovery. And yeah, so it goes. So we're moving along. There's a lot of avenues to explore, and that's about it. Anybody have any questions?
You had first said, I remember, a 2-day trial estimate. Today I heard 3 days. And
Maybe,
change.
yeah, 2 or 3 days, plus or minus. We have to decide a lot of things, and it depends on what discovery we get. It depends on what they're saying, what they're not saying, how they say it. So.
Is it too early to think about witnesses? How many witnesses, or who's going to be a witness?
We have a pretty good idea, I think, both sides, about who the principal witnesses are. You know, there's 4 or 5 officers that are of concern here. You know, we have some people, we're looking at some potential experts. Nothing we want to really disclose just yet, but we really need to get everything from the Commonwealth before we make those decisions. And under the rules, we don't have to disclose anything until they've given us all their cards, so to speak. So.
Do you anticipate any issues? I know there's going to be a follow-up date on the 9th, which was the original trial date.
You know, you gotta leave everything on the table. We have to see what we have. We just got 10 gigabytes of, not even sure what it is, video, photography today. There's been a few files of training records we're gonna look at. So it's a process. We're going through it right now. And it'll dictate what our next move is.
You indicated you were going to be filing some Rule 17 motions. Anything you can say about what
Charlie,
those would be?
so we're looking at the prior department, the Lawrence Police Department, and we may have some information we're going to be seeking from there in terms of the departure of the officer at issue and some of the training. We want to know what kind of training these officers received relative to the use of force, relative to de-escalation, things like that are going to be a serious issue.
Quick question for Kelsey, if you don't mind. Just wondering how you feel one way or another, or if you feel one way or another about the trial being delayed, if you were kind of hoping to get it over with in February, or if you're saying you're more of the mind that it takes however long it takes.
I would love to get it over with. I want to put it behind me, because as soon as I do that, it's one step closer to be reunited with my son. So that's how I feel about that. But I do know that it's a process, and that if it has to get extended, it's probably for a good reason too.
And then anything else you want people watching this to know about your situation, about your case in general, that you might feel wasn't represented properly, or just something that you want people to, anything you want people to know in general?
I think there's been a lot of misrepresentations, and it will all be very clear once I get my day.
Kelsey, how do you feel about today versus the other appearances you've made? Quite a different feeling, I think.
I get nervous every time I come here because of past times, so I get nervous being here.
She's under a lot of restrictions and you know, kind of an unprecedented number of restrictions that each one carries with it all sorts of sub-issues that we have to be very concerned about. So I don't blame her one bit for being concerned about, you know, every little aspect of her release terms. So it's an ongoing issue. The government increasingly puts defendants under the grip of various technologies like the scram, the bracelet, and we get, any practitioner will tell you that it's not infallible. We get calls from our clients that, you know, they're being accused of being outside the bracelet range when they're laying at home asleep in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, the technology is not great, and there's often a presumption on the part of probation or the courts that if the technology says you did something or didn't do it, that's gospel, and that's not the case at all. So I don't blame Kelsey one bit for being concerned about this stuff. We're trying to keep a close eye on it. We're trying to work with these technology providers are pretty cooperative, but you know, in the end, if the bracelet's saying you're doing something wrong, that's all of us immediately the defense is in a hole that they have to crawl out of. It's not fair. So.
Kelsey, how are you feeling? How's your health?
I'm okay.
Getting better?
Yeah.
I also have a question for Kelsey. How's Maverick?
Maverick's great.
Was he excited to see you when you came home?
Yes. Very excited.
How was it being home for the holidays and being able to rest a bit?
It was a tough adjustment, going from like being in jail to just all of a sudden being home. It was a really weird adjustment, and I think I'm still adjusting. But I'm okay.
So as always, guys, we want to thank everybody for being here. You know, the supporters mean the world to us. You know, the sunshine. Martha and I were talking before she came out here that the sunshine on this case from the media is really important, and we are really gratified that you're all here paying attention to this. It means the world to us.
Thank you for
Thank you.
supporting me.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.